once again. As we have got into the bottom left-hand side, our red Protoss player, this is Hurricane. Here on Blackburn, as we have in the bottom right, the blue Zerg player from Afrika Freaks, soO. This is a lot of cool little extra things around the sides of the map, and as we get a bit more familiar with the maps, and I stop introducing them like from the start every time, we'll have a look at some of these cool little animations and stuff that's going on. There's always like cool things hidden around maps. You know, over here we've got a, what even is that? It's like a it's like a big ass missile turret. We got some cargo being shipped over here. We already saw on one of the maps. Oh no, it's this one. No, this is the Ultras Torture map. This is the map we've probably looked at the most in terms of things. It's this map is actually just like anti-Zerg. Like, this is somebody who again played way too much TVZ back in the Wings of Liberty days, or Heart of the Swarm days, or at any point they've just been playing against too much Zerg, and they're just like, yep, gonna spike the Ultras, I'm gonna trap the Ultras. Yeah, so it's got a little bit of a a sad feel to it as we set up into this ZvP for game number 1 of the best of 3. First time seeing these players today, as we do have the Cybercore coming up. So this is a bottom left, bottom right base, so we don't see a lot of vertical symmetry in StarCraft anymore. There's been some maps in days gone by where, you know, Habitation Station, New Gettysburg, where this vertical symmetry happens, but, you know, usually it's like top left versus bottom right, or top right versus bottom left. Not both players spawn on one side of the map, so it always creates an interesting dynamic. And this map does have inhibitor zones. These are not speed up zones. This is just a standard macro focus map where he's used the inhibitor zones to set up. We saw a very long game on this one yesterday. It does have a tendency to go split map. And when you split map, you see this sort of fight over one player maybe getting this base up here and the other player getting the base on the bottom. Because these bases are so far apart, it's very difficult for one player to control both of them. So you typically, it becomes split map, and one player decides, I'm going to take the top. The other guy's like, well, I'll take the bottom then. And it becomes kind of interesting. That's exactly what we saw yesterday. It's what I sort of predicted would happen. It's exactly what happened in Bly versus soO. That was our longest game of the day yesterday as well on this map. It is very macro-friendly. 3 bases easily. You've got a choice of a gold base here or more forward fourth. I do like the rest of the inhibitor zone usage as well, by the way. Actually, just to circle back around onto this point, these inhibitor zones here slow down some of the elevator play that can happen in this position, slow down some of the drop play to stop the close-by air positions being overly powerful. And these inhibitor zones in the center, again, just slowing down this kind of rush distance with the larger armies. I like the usage of them. I think they're really well used. I'm not quite convinced about the slow zones up here. I feel like those are unnecessary. But I really like the other slow zones on the map. I definitely think it has the right sort of intention. As we do see the Adept making its way back home after, well, basically looking to pick up some info, right? I mean, sees the 3rd hatchery, and that's about it in the early stages. So Hurricane going to be able to see that, as we do see the Phoenix jumping in on the Overlords to start to deal some damage over here. So the Overlord will go down, as we do have our Oracle on the way up here from Hurricane as well. So that's about a pop, and the Stargate setup going to be pretty regular. Phoenix into the Oracle. It's going to see our Phoenix making its way down to the bottom right, and we're going to see a second Stargate from Hurricane. So he's going to go double Stargate Phoenix here to set up on a map, which it kind of makes sense, right? Very nice macro map. It definitely, you know, double Stargate Phoenix is a good way to be able to be aggressive, because other aggression on this map for the Protoss is going to take so long to walk across. So double Stargate Phoenix really keeps that aggression up from the early stages of the game and can really kind of just keep it pumping out, basically. And as we do see this Oracle pulling back around into the center. 2 more Overlords on the way up here from soO. Evolution Chamber from soO sets up on the natural expansion as well. And just going to be seeing the Stargate number 2 from Hurricane about to finish up here also. And that ready to go. A couple Phoenix going to get Chrono boosted out. Those are going to be hanging out over to this left-hand side. So those couple of Phoenix going to come and join up together. We're going to see our +1 melee upgrade from soO also coming into play. And our Rotron from soO dropping down on that natural expansion. Still the Oracle out in the middle of the map here, trying to see what's going on. With the melee upgrade coming in on the Evolution Chamber. So again, getting that set up and ready to roll as well. as our Oracle will continue across, and a couple of these queens already dealing some decent damage. As the Oracle comes in, drops down a Revelation, and will, in the end, back away through the bottom side once more. Still just watching this melee upgrade come up then, as we see soO making his way all the way across over this left-hand side. Going to get a little bit of a surround here already on a couple of these Adepts. I mean, that's a nice little counter-attack. Plus one melee against Phoenix Stars are always great, because there's typically only going to be one Oracle, so there's not a lot of kind of, you know, counter-ling play. Obviously, the melee really just kind of shreds things. Let's see what the Phoenix can do as they arrive for the first time. soO's not really set up immediately. He does have the rest of the queens coming in now. This one got a little bit out of position. Transfusions available. With the queen count here, I think it's worth transfusing, because realistically, you're putting a lot of damage onto the Phoenix. So keeps that alive. This Overlord will be transfused as well, and now out of transfusions. But the Phoenix count has been, you know, kind of hurt and beaten up a little bit. Still, Ling's counter-attacking across the map. They don't have that melee upgrade yet. When they do, they're gonna... This third base is in trouble. I mean, it's already in trouble. The Phoenix are still across, and they're gonna pick off a couple more drones. So, as, you know, Hurricane looks for some extra damage here. The Zergling's now getting a full surround on this left-hand side. The Nexus is gonna go down. And that's gonna be a kill on Hurricane's third base. I mean, that's a massive pick off there by soO. That's really nicely done, as we do see the rest of this coming down the bottom side. Overlord gets shut down as well. Drones getting picked away at, Spore Crawler firing, and over on the left we still see these Lings trying to make their way in towards this base. Pylon and a gateway will come and block this off. There's the sentry about to finish up too. The Zealot's still kind of hanging out also. I mean, these Lings are still applying pressure. Whether they need to really kind of, you know, hit them, you know, hit their heads against the front door, don't really think that's a necessity. These Phoenix are doing okay damage, but like, it's not crazy. Resources lost is about even, which for ZvP, where the Protoss goes for so many Phoenix, that generally doesn't happen at all. And soO's not slowing down at all either. He's also going into +2 melee. He's now getting Corruptors up to try and fight against these Phoenix a little bit more solidly. Just trying to get that Corruptor count up here. Oh, he jumps in and he actually gets a sentry on this other side, as we see Hurricane trying to make his way down the ramp. It feels like this game's just going so wrong for Hurricane now. I mean, the fact he's still only on 2 bases. soO has lost maybe a few Zerglings. Well, he's lost a lot of Zerglings across the map trying to be aggressive. He's lost 48 as he's going to get there to get this probe. He will not deny the Nexus coming up again. But you just see it being retaken, so he knows it's there at least. I mean, not really a surprise, right? Hurricane can't exactly 2 base all in off his current setup. Phoenix firing onto the... Queen's firing onto the Phoenix again. soO just wants to make sure he can minimize what's being done by these. Honestly, the Phoenix have so much energy that they've just not been able to utilize. As one goes down, the Corruptor's coming out. It just feels like Hurricane's not found enough out of these to really justify what was kind of a large investment. +2 melee on the natural. Do you see the 4th base coming up on the top side? Setting up on towards the gold minerals again. Just a few Corruptors in the middle of the map from soO, as we do see a couple of cannons setting up, a couple more Zealots warping in. Charge about to finish here as well, as the Baneling Nest about to finish up from soO on the 3rd base. The Phoenix coming in and a couple of drones getting shot down. As Hurricane then makes his exit, losing a Phoenix in the process. Again, every time he's fighting, he's losing a Phoenix, and this is a brilliant positioning on the Corruptors. Out of soO, intercepts, and now Phoenix are being absolutely shut down here. So now only 5 Phoenix remaining, as we do see Hurricane trying to push across the map on the ground, but man, I mean, you're running into like Roach Ravager, which is ready to go. The Banes aren't even ready, and they weren't even needed. That's how bad a scenario this is for Hurricane. He's being held off by unupgraded Roach Ravager with ease. As we do see the Corruptors coming in, gonna start caustic spraying down the Nexus. Corruptors move in towards the main base. Blink on the way up, +2 attack coming through. Another Immortal in production. I mean, Corruptors obviously want to try and get themselves a caustic spray on an important base or something, but not going to find too much just yet. As you do see 12 more Lings coming out, a couple extra Overlords in production. Blink coming through, Immortal production on the way. And those Phoenix of Hurricane coming around this top side is on the bottom. We do see a Warp Prism moving along the bottom as well. Roach Ravager coming up to get rid of a couple of these Zealots. Drone's going to get back to mining. I mean, just every attempt from Hurricane to be aggressive is just being completely stopped dead in its tracks. soO is just not letting Hurricane get anything done at all. even these Phoenix, right? I mean, they're getting killed off. It's not like they were doing anything anyways, right? They were so low on... They have so much energy that they just haven't used. They're like maxed energy. It's just... That's kind of just been an insanely good defensive game from soO. Right now, some Zealots get across here, and he'll miss a transfuse because he's focusing across the map. But, I mean, yeah, he's maxed out. He's ready to fight, and I just don't see what Hurricane does to fight it back. I mean, you've got these Corruptors coming back around toward the main. They're going to look for openings again. This Roach Ravager Baneling army is terrifying to fight against. And there's just not that much tech here. Like 4 Archons, so that number's rising up a little bit right now. But the issue is you're going to get right on top of these Archons and Immortals so quickly because there's so little to actually, you know, support those units. Corruptors showing up. They can maybe start a caustic spray down a base while the Roach Ravager's here. Or they can actually, this is really nice, they're going to shut down the Prism, so they take away the micro potential in the Immortals. And soO is going to overwhelm. So we'll end up taking game number 1 of this best of 3. So soO ends up taking the first map of the best of 3 series. Goes up 1-0. Jump into our second map. Starting us off in the top left-hand side. Down a game is going to be the blue Protoss player Hurricane here. Taking on the red Zerg in the bottom right-hand side. We have got soO. So this one is really, you take your main, you take your natural, you can take your third, you can take your fourth, and you're already just kind of, you know, rocking around. It's pretty good for you. So, you know, fifth base comes in very easily as well. It really is just the new sort of, it's like a King's Cove kind of map. It's, what's the map in the current map pool that does this? Someone help me out here. It's just super macro focused. Just take a lot of bases very easily. We've got numbers on some of the bases, just in case you want to try and figure out what the hell those are about. Figure out the pattern, people. Figure out the pattern. But yeah, in general, it's a lot of this high ground middle map is kind of interesting as well. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult to really break somebody on this one. As you do just see the hatch gas and pool. Getting this ready to roll. Simulacrum. Simulacrum doesn't have like a super easy fifth base. Zen, not really what I'm thinking of either. Why I can't think of it. Why can't I think of it? I've got no idea. But it is just your typical sort of, when you get 4 bases, base number 5 basically still protects base number 4. So once you get, you know, 4 bases up, you've already kind of got access to the 5th base pretty easily along the way. It's just a matter of actually getting up the proper setup and so on. As early game Overlord moving across the map. And King's Cove is a great example of it. Once you got 4 bases, you got the extra base for free basically. Nightshade? Nope, I just for some reason I just can't think. Just don't mind me, guys. Just imagine I can try and compare it to another map. This map seems huge. It is pretty big. Eternal Empire? Yes. Kind of. Yeah, basically Eternal Empire, right? Where Eternal Empire is a little bit different because Eternal Empire, the 4th and 5th are in the same place. But it's the same idea where if you get 4 bases, you get 5 bases, right? And that's basically what happens on Eternal Empire as well. If you get to base 4, you pretty much get base 5. So yeah, I mean, there's a few maps where this has been there's a few maps where this has been kind of like the theme in the past, so it's not like super crazy. As we do see Overlord hanging out over here. In the early stages of this game, not going to be too crazy just yet. How many buildings to block the natural? I would be surprised if it was more than a 3-building wall off. 3rd building here. I remember, I will never forget the, well, I can't remember what map it was called, but it was one of the maps in the last TLMC. Zest and Impact played a crazy game on it. And the entire tournament, nobody walled off correctly, because everyone was like, imagine like, basically they were trying to like wall off here, when the choke was actually like here. Imagine this was like pushed back a bit and brought forwards. They're trying to wall off here with like 4 buildings, and actually the map maker was just like, I don't get it. They're meant to wall off like here, a bit further forwards, but nobody's done it. It took like, I think until like the semi-finals of the entire event for somebody to realize, oh, we can wall off with just 3 buildings. Amazing. It was great. That was kind of funny. Phoenix moving around. It is a Stargate opening. This time fast into the Robo facility, so Hurricane will move away from that double Stargate Phoenix opener. Fast Robo here, and I mean immediately into an Immortal just spells out aggression usually when you go an Immortal this quick. There's no real need to get an Immortal this fast based on anything that soO is doing, right? He's not seen any inclination from soO to be aggressive. So Hurricane builds up the 3rd base, but we'll very soon see just how real of a 3rd base this is. Is he going to build any probes for it even? We'll find out soon, because again, with that Immortal coming out quick, at the very least, it's going to be an early push across the map. And he is building the probes to start saturating the 3rd, so he's just going to get, okay, Immortal into an Observer, so it's not super aggressive, probably Immortal, couple extra sentries. And around this sort of time, you can maybe start to move out, but it's very difficult against a Ling-based opener with +1 melee, because the Lings are very likely to get us around, force your force fields very early in the game, and whenever that happens, you're immediately in that little bit of trouble from the get-go, as we do see the couple Oracles and the Phoenix escaping back up the right-hand side. And again, Twilight Council, Forge, this is finishing up in the main. In a few moments as well. Warp Prism going to be finishing soon. Sentry on the way out, +1 attack starting, charge starting. Still some unity here from Hurricane pressing forwards and going to be having a little bit of a fight. That's the Sentry dropping down a last-minute force field there as a few of the Lings getting picked away at. The Phoenix of Hurricane back out into the center. Still a couple of Oracles wanting to try get in toward the main base. The Oracles have been pretty successful, in fairness. They've picked up 6 kills in total so far. That's a nice Queen lift up to maybe save the Oracles. You have the Spore target fight. It probably could have killed the lower health Oracle. It's really not a bad setup at all. I mean, overall now, this is 11 workers killed. These Oracles really racking up the last few kills there. So, soO taking a lot of damage. There's that push I kind of mentioned. You want it with the Warp Prism just in case you need to evacuate units. He doesn't even go that far forward. soO is... Again, he's playing that Ling style heavy in the early game, and it just makes those push forwards so dangerous, because it's not like Roaches where you can just force field a couple of times and you can continue to run away. The Lings will just catch you back up again, so much better to actually just sort of back off a little bit more, you know, a little earlier in the game, basically, as we do see. The Prism unable to get into the main, so it's a good defensive positioning from soO. He obviously does not want to let too much happen here. That's a shame. The Oracle flying forwards is a misplay from Hurricane. Gets the revelation at least, but again, should have been able to keep 2 Oracles alive for a long time in this. Now, Hurricane's making his way towards Storm, and the reason for that may be, has he seen the Infestation Pit from soO? He has not. So he actually just wants to go into Storm in general because of the melee upgrade and expecting this to be balanced, which it will be. I'm actually, I'll tell you what I am surprised about, the fact that soO is not going in towards the +2 melee upgrade. So there it is right now. But not prioritizing that means he's just letting that slip for a little while. Maybe doesn't feel like he's overly eager to be aggressive with the Zerglings anyways, so it's not like a massive issue, which is possibly true. As we do have the Oracle coming back up towards the upper left-hand side. This Warp Prism from Hurricane still pressing forwards is going to look to try and, well, thinking about unloading in that base. A couple of the Adepts will unload off over to this right-hand side, as we do see the Spire on the way down from soO in the natural expansion. There's still some extra Zerglings just making their way out over this left-hand side. So they are going to come out over to the left here, as we do just have the Nexus on the way in the front. So already building up into the Nexus and towards the 4th base. Hurricane's Oracle still just perusing the center map, trying to see what's up. See if anything's happening with a Spire on the way as well. It does just feel as though soO wants to go straight for Broodlords this game. I mean, he's just taking a bunch of his bases. He's going to take this. It's so interesting because it's just so unlike soO, I think, to really kind of rush up into like a late game. These maps aren't really kind of like very good maps for soO. He's really a very kind of timing-based mid-game player. Yet here he is realistically going late game right off the bat here in game number 2. I mean, both these maps very split map and macro friendly. soO just kind of accepted this going into this series, apparently. He didn't veto either of them. know what he did veto instead, actually. I think he vetoed 2,000 atmospheres, which is actually just more of a very standard map, much more regularly sized, would be better for what we usually expect to be soO's kind of styles. But yeah, so you're just embracing the size of this map here. As we do see the Greater Spire setting up in the back of the natural. Fleet Beacon dropping down in the main base, the second Stargate as well. +2 attack going to be finishing soon. The Immortal production continuing as well. Again, that Greater Spire just about halfway along as the Phoenix flying around. Couple of Queens going to be able to jump onto it, and the Phoenix takes a lot of damage. First couple Banes running by do nothing at all. Good Storm to help defend it. Now, the thing is, I mean, this is just accelerating into the late game, which is exactly the sort of thing this map really promotes happening. Just accelerating into the late game because it's Eagle Station, right? Like, it's big, it's friendly to take 5 bases on. There's no reason to play a mid game if you can both just go late game right away. War Prism still hanging out around the bottom as we see some Lingbane, Ravager, Roach, Queen. Positioning. What soO wants to do now is just sort of put on a bit of pressure maybe and start to free up a little bit of supply. Because right now he doesn't actually have the supply to start up his Broodlords or anything. As those Zealots do go down. You know, Hurricane actually doesn't feel like any threat of Broodlords immediately. If he did, he would have probably made Tempest first. Instead, he's going to go straight into Carriers. Carriers take a lot longer to build, and they're not really like a super great immediate counter to Broods when they're in lower numbers. With the ship on the way up as well. 400s ready to go in the chat. And soO kind of... I'm not sure he really wants to fight that here. Not sure he really wants to fight this here either, as he takes a couple storms to the face and gets shut down pretty heavily. He is rebuilding into Broodlords as previously expected. But he's going to have a decent number of Corruptors to support this as well, even against just a couple Carriers. You do need some anti-air, and right now, that's not really the case. He's just building all of his Corruptors into Broods, so he has to replace a few of the drones, and now maybe with the rest of his supply gets some Corruptors. That would be my best guess / my best hope for soO, if he really wants to fight against this properly. Pulling Roach back over the left-hand side. The Archon has some damage on towards this Overlord as well, so picking up some damage onto this. Overlord will go down. So he's going to try and jump on this army here, and again, just try and trade out a little bit. A couple of Banes get through. The High Templar get blown up. I mean, that's all you need sometimes to make this fight look so different and so much more kind of in your favor. However, soO still has a lot of rebuilding to do to get back to maxed out, and you know, his 88 workers is decent, but it's not like he's been mining a ton more than his opponent all game, so he can't continue to be inefficient in these trades, which he hasn't been overly so just yet. There is a 2,000 difference, and so over time here, Hurricane seems to be getting into a better and better position. Couple extra Banes from soO. Setting up into the center, as we do see just a bit more creep moving around. It's actually going to be Hurricane that maybe wants to think about moving out a little bit himself right here. Also going to be seeing a couple Corrosive Bars dropping. Not doing too much. The Templars coming in underneath this army as well. The Broods making their way over to the left-hand side. Just trying to see what could perhaps be done here in the next couple moments. Army trying to press forwards. Not doing too much as soO stands strong. The extra Bane setting up here as well as the Phoenix starts to tag up the Overlord. Just going through, Phoenix gets picked up. We do see again the rest of this from Hurricane just continuing out down into the center here for the moment. So a little bit of creep spread being cleaned out again. Very passive game until this point. And now you got some of the creep spread cleaned out. I mean, they're both just playing for the later stages. Infesta's being built. Corruptor's on the way out. All of this being added in for this moment or two. As we do see some rocks being picked off here, and still this army of Hurricanes still pressing forwards. The Spore Crawler is going to be taking some damage, already taking some hits. Big abduct on the Mothership, but there's no follow-up to that, so the Mothership doesn't actually drop down dead. So it stays alive. Infestor drops a big fungal growth. The parasitic bomb is big as well. Is it enough? See, a lot of the storms being used right now, but the storms are going to get picked away as the Broodlords are getting on top of the High Temple. A couple of final storms and some Banes make their way in as well. It looks like Hurricane's army is winning this out, though. soO is in need of rebuilding. He's got 39 lava. He's not rebuilding yet. The problem is he not only needs an army in the sky, he needs one on the ground. I mean, the Broodlords are just not cutting it at the moment, as we do see these Broodlings dropping down. A couple of Broodlords getting picked up. I mean, the carriers are kind of out of interceptors, which means these Corruptors can get some free kills right now. That was a storm on top of the carriers, which actually hit more of the Protoss units anyways. The Corruptors go down, and Hurricane's reinforcements are just going to be a bit too much here. I mean, when soO is rebuilding Zerglings into a fight like this, it's never going to be pretty. I mean, Lings are not bad against the Stalkers and Immortals, but there's an Archon in here, and there's just the number of units which is going to be the issue. He's going to try and morph in Banes, but again, Hurricane, I mean, if anything, just back away, get a couple of storms and fight again. Fighting forwards now is not really a necessity. Blinks into the morphing Banelings. Zergling's running forwards, and there's a couple force fields dropping down. Is this a position for soO to maybe get back in it? A storm comes out of nowhere. Pretty sure both players, I feel like soO definitely thought there was no storms left. Not the case as these Stalkers blink in, and it is going to be another Brood snipe down. Make that one more as well. A couple of these Broods still getting picked off, and that's going to be, again, just about GG. All she wrote for soO is Hurricane. In a very passive game, builds up an army that just wins the fight eventually, and it ties up 1-1. Appreciate it as we go into game 3 here of soO versus Hurricane. We start off in the bottom left-hand side. It is going to be our blue Protoss player from Bravestar Gaming, Hurricane. Got Jagannath there, as we do have in the top right our red Zerg soO. And we've talked a bit about this map a lot as well, of course, and it is really one of these maps where you've got these acceleration zones, and we'll see what soO does with those. I mean, I really expect in this game to finally not be so much of a... I mean, the first game wasn't really like a jump to late game sort of game, but Double Stargate Phoenix kind of makes the Zerg sit back as well. Maybe this is finally the chance for soO to get aggressive. Now, in the first game, he did get aggressive with the Lings, and he did a good job denying the third base. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm intrigued to see what soO does if he wants to kind of play that aggressive style, because again, last map didn't really allow for any aggression. So I really expect soO to kind of change it up a bit going into this game here now. I really do expect him to switch it up at least slightly. Well, again, not too much really going on at the start of this. As you do just see the Nexus, etc., and Hatchery on the way down. What happens if a map has acceleration in the mains and the workers mine faster? They should do like acceleration, like main base mineral lines. Yeah, the entire game is just faster. Make players learn completely different builds and timings for every single for just that one map in every single matchup. It'd be great. Peak StarCraft, right? That would be absolutely peak StarCraft. Like, what more could you ask for, really? That's kind of what they did with Prion Terraces, in fairness. They made the freaking natural expansion a gold base. Like, hello? That map was crazy at first. And then they decided to go for a different... they made the third base the gold base, right? It was actually... They actually did that. Like, at the start of Legacy of the Void, Prion Terraces, they made a natural expansion the gold. And it was like, what the f are you doing, Blizzard? Like, nobody enjoyed it. Literally nobody enjoyed it. Couple of assimilators dropping down on the natural. As we do see soO making his way out through the bottom side here. Robo facility from Hurricane setting up in the front of the Wolof. You enjoyed Pre on Terraces risky? Well, yeah, you're a Zerg player. Like, oh, what, 3 gold base? Didn't it have 2 gold bases? Didn't it make like the 3rd and the 4th a gold base eventually as well? I had such a dumb build on that map. It was great in ZvZ. Wasn't it just 13-12 city? If your opponent took the gold, you 13-12 them, and it was like, haha, you know, I've got the advantage. It was just dumb. That was just map was just silly all around. Or you could like 12 pool into the gold as well, I think. And if you 12 pooled into the gold, it was like, it also turned out to be very good for you. Anyways, this game, as the Oracle and Phoenix gets pushed away, we are going to be having our soO with a lot of gas in the bank. Not really doing much with it just yet. Probably looking for the lair. As we do have Hurricane setting up a Templar Archives now on the natural expansion, so getting that ready to roll, and you have the Queen able to fire away at the Oracle, which is going to get pushed away down the right-hand side. There's a couple of kills. I mean, this time it's only 1 Oracle, so we only see the 2 Stargate units, so straight into the Temple Archives, straight to an Archon drop from this point. As the Warp Prism early, though, actually is already able to kind of like save these couple of Adepts. You do want these 2 Adepts to come across the map generally. Send 2 Adepts one way, the Archon drop goes the other, and then you can obviously, you know, if your opponent's not paying the right amount of attention, it forces a little bit of a move around with the army, basically. So it works quite nicely, as we do see the few Zerglings continue to make their way across out. Over to this right-hand side, we do have Smallings here from soO, going to move back around into the center. So I'm going to come around the bottom. We do have the couple of Archons up in the Prism, also making their way out on the map as the Forge is on the way down in the main base. So yeah, a couple of Archon drops, trying to deal some extra damage at this stage, force some units out and try and slow soO down. Now, in the same time, Hurricane is building up that 3rd base. Obviously, did have that slowed down a little bit, so it's not a super fast 3rd, but his work account's good. 50 workers to the 58. Now, soO is going for some big rounds of work. He's very happy with the army that he's already got up on the map, so he can really start making some big investments into drones here. Still just seeing these couple Archons, getting a couple extra creep tumors on the edges. Doing a decent job of that. Archon's dropping down, gonna get some more of these Queens being picked away at, and we do see the Prism taking some damage as well. I mean, Prism goes low. Queens don't go down. Obviously, this forces the Prism back at this stage as soO shows us his intentions for game number 3. And it's going to be the Nidus Network. It's going to be the Infestation Pit. We're going to see some Swarm hosts here. Was that the Oracle that just flew past these Queens? Oh, was that the Warp? Why was the Warp Prism back over here? What? Okay, I don't know why the Warp Prism was moving into those Queens. There's no sense in that at all. It wouldn't have even had its shield regenerated. That's why I'm paying no attention to the Warp Prism, because it shouldn't be a part of the game right now. And he just flies it into the Queens, and he loses 2 Archons. That's such a bad start when you're now going up against the Niduses and the Swarm hosts, because the Archons especially are meant to be... these Archons especially are meant to be able to be the splash damage to really help against the first waves of Locusts. Roaches and Queens out over here, as we do see some Zealots and Archons and Sentries and Immortals up this left-hand side. And as you see, I mean, this is a push from Hurricane and try and get something done, but I mean, this just means you use the Nidus aggressively, or defensively, which, you know, is nice for this Protoss. It's like you don't have to deal with the Swarm hosts across the map. Those Roaches get caught. Corrosive Valves were a bit slow to the party. The first Locust now going to have to hop up. Does Hurricane have something of a timing here to make this work? So he has a lot of minerals, which he's not currently spent. Hurricane backs away, knowing he doesn't want to actually fight in towards those Locusts at all. But he's being chased, and this Roach Ravager will get damage done as he chases. Now we're going to see the force field dropping down as soO is going to be wanting to disengage. Without the Locust here, it doesn't really make sense for him to keep on fighting. Swarm hosts all on cooldown, and are they on different cooldowns? They're all on the same cooldown. They're all on the same cooldown, so that is nice. Means he doesn't have to kind of send them forwards in 2 waves or wait for one wave to be caught back up with the other. Hurricane coming back down the bottom, as we do just see the Disruptor shot to maybe save the day being set up right now from Hurricane. Disruptor's on the way out. It doesn't feel like that was too great. The disruptors against Locust in general, though, aren't exactly like the go-to. Usually you want to invest into Storm at this kind of stage. These Archon's going to get some decent splash done. Is it enough to get rid of the Locust count? It is, so the third base survives. This is a pretty hard dive onto the third base as well from soO, so he uses an entire Locust wave to get a base low. No kill on it yet, so there's no benefit from that just yet, as we do have the next Nidus from soO setting up in the center as well. Healings on the bottom getting cleaned up as we see the Warp Prism in the main. The Zealot's going to warp in and come straight in after some of these Lings and Roaches. So already starting to deal some damage out over here. Again, I mean, soO's just dealt with it very quickly and very easily, though, which makes it look as though he's really in good control of the game. I mean, no Nidus on the map just yet, so you can't get the next wave of Locust onto this base, which is obviously the goal. Kill that third base off and take the eco advantage. You can see the Overseer is looking to try and get somewhere to build a Nidus, but it's being followed by the army. But at the same time, Hurricane can't stay out there for too long because the rest of the army from soO is on the left side. So he actually does need his army back in position to make sure he can defend as well at some stage. Two more disruptors about to pop out, as you do see this Phoenix of Hurricane going to be going in after the Overseer. So Overseer taking some damage. Nidus will be dropped down there as the army sets out the front. And again, the Overseer going to be picked off in a couple moments' time. As the Oracle activates to try and deny this Nidus, and it is going to go down. I mean, the thing is, you just can't realistically unload anything here in any sort of reasonable time to then get it out alive again, right? Like, it's just not going to be worthwhile. So that's not really worthwhile, as we do see Disruptor still setting up. Our Nidus network here from soO coming in. Also going to be found, also going to be shut down. Bit of Prism play into the main base too, as soO. He's being kept back a lot. I mean, it's been a little while since we've really seen a wave of Locust doing anything. So now we have this army coming across. This is a nice Nidus position. Using the Changeling to set it up, and well, soO is about to get Bane speed. Let's see if that helps out here at all. First Disruptor shot hits a Roach. A lot of these Banes connected in, but hitting armored units, they don't do that much. Nidus is found, it gets shut down. Swarmhost still not getting out. And this is again the issue. The longer these Swarmhosts don't do anything for, the more and more potential you've lost from them. And the better of a position the Protoss player is going to be in compared to where they should be playing against Swarmhosts. So not getting any of these Niduses up recently really hurts. Now a Disruptor shot forcing a couple units back. Honestly, we've not seen like a big money Disruptor shot, but the little kills here and there are really adding up. Now I see a couple of the Banes actually able to move on through. Another Ravager shot down. The Locust being used defensively here to try and help push this away. I mean, again, that will force Hurricane to disengage. He will not fight into Locust for no reason. And it's chasing down. I mean, you're actually getting a couple of kills here. Picking off an Immortal or so. The Locust now expiring. Hurricane has been chased off as soO lost a lot there, has to rebuild. Resources lost is pretty darn even. And a pretty even game when it comes to income as well. soO's been leading by a little bit, but not by like a huge margin. So that's not been too different between the two of them. Again, Archons, Disruptors, Stalkers, and Immortals still making their way up to the top side. And those first couple of Archons firing away as well. Disruptor shot coming in, trying to land. And you see the Banes, Slings getting picked away at. Disruptor's being picked off too. Lings continuing down, and it's going to chase in after these Zerglings. Roaches getting picked off too, and still the Zerglings streaming forwards. I was going to see some extra corrosive bowels dropping down. soO is going to end up backing away back up to the top. Adrenal Glands on the way up from soO, plus one melee coming in. A lot more Zerglings in production as well. So getting a lot more Zerglings up and running right now as the Nidus Worm drops to the far left. +3 attack on the Forge. Going to be ready shortly as we see the extra couple Colossus coming through as well. And Colossus definitely will help against a lot of what soO is building, right? I mean, there's not really an answer to Colossus on the map. Now, Aspire absolutely would be that answer. And I love this Nidus spot. Finally a position where soO's been able to sneak a Nidus down. He's actually going to get an offensive round of Swarmhost off. And I think it's going to be really big. I think it's going to kill the natural expansion. So yeah, these Swarmhosts are finally going to get another wave of Locusts going. And you can see the Stalkers already warping in, but it's a lot of Locusts to then realistically try and stop here. The Swarmhost trying. Oh, no, they go for the Colossus. Well, okay, they go for the Colossus, which means that obviously the Nexus will not go down. Disruptor shot to help clean up. So he gets a Colossus and a few Stalkers. Is that much better than going for the Nexus? Because I feel like that Nexus is almost a sure snipe. I mean, in soO's mind, I guess in that exact moment, you have to try and figure that out as well, though, and it's very difficult to make that call on the fly. As the rest of these Lings come around, they're going to go in, get a surround here. Bane's coming across, going to go blow up a couple of these Zealots already, and these Probes still taking a whole bunch of damage as well. As the rest of these Banes connecting in, Immortals and Archons taking a lot of hits right here. The Roach Ravager army still fighting. It's going to be another Disruptor Shot firing through. And still Hurricane pushing this away. He lost 21 probes here, so soO is able to put himself in a position where... yeah, soO's put himself in a position where it's been a little bit rough, but overall I still think it's alright for him as we see the extra Archons morphing in again. You can see the Corruptors on the way out and trying to move in towards Broodlords. So he just keeps on remaxing. Again, now he's taking a bit more of an eco lead, and that's definitely going to help him here, as the resources lost is still pretty even as well, so he's taking good enough fights. The Great Aspire will help, but it's not ready yet, as we see this army trying to fight. I mean, Corruptors are already useful to try and take down these Colossus, and that's exactly what they're looking to do from this bottom right side. Here he goes, soO coming in from some different directions, the Disruptor Shot missing, and well, the Colossus taking a lot of damage at the start. They're spending so much time running away. Man, these Archons are all so low, and that's why you just have to escape. Fortunately for Hurricane, these Archons are having to back away, but there's nothing to really chase them down apart from Locusts. And now we're going to see a recommitment forwards. I mean, Broodlords are morphing up to the top side, so they'll be able to join this fight pretty quickly. Where you morph those Broodlords is very important, because if they were morphing any further away, they would not join this fight, and that would be a problem from the start. Disruptor Shot trying to find something extra. This one actually gets killed off. The Broods are so close to finishing up here as soO. I don't know why his Hive is on this base, but it is. Did he lose his main at some point? I mean, I don't think so, right? No? Why is this Hive up here? Sometimes you build a lair on the third base because it gives it a bit more HP into the base that gets sniped more often, so it kind of works. I mean, whatever. Anyways, Broodlords are here and they will help to push this back. 12 drones went down though because soO was just waiting on those Broodlords, so desperately relying on those coming out. We see another Nidus in the bottom, and if these Swarm Hosts get an aggressive wave of Locusts off in a base right now, Hurricane's in a lot of trouble because he cannot really afford to lose much of his economy. Given the current scenario, soO just took a very good fight, so Hurricane needs every little bit of resources he can put into the army to really fight soO off here, especially with Broodlords approaching. They're not really a proper Broodlord defense ready to go. There's actually not that many Swarm Hosts that pop out here, and they drop down on a Zealot. Questionable decisions. We see the Disruptors already in control. The Broods picking away at these Archons, so they're not going to get underneath here. A couple of the Queens taking some damage, and they will be dropping, but it costs a lot of Disruptors, and as the Stalker's pulling forward, soO will surround with the Zerglings, and soO will take game 3 of the series, and it's a 2-1 victory for soO over Hurricane.